Okay, some additional thoughts now on Denzel Curry's Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. I think I will start with the obvious. That is my wonderful ability to describe the North Face, the name of the company, and where it comes from, yet somehow not get that he was talking about a coat. Oh, man. That's fun. Sometimes the brain, it just does things I don't understand. I don't understand. And so that whole line about, it's so cold, we don't even have a North Face. And for me to somehow take that and twist it into a connection to Money Trees by Kendrick Lamar, bravo, brain, well done, but incorrect answer, Anyway, that was funny to me. A lot of people commented on that, like, hey, he's just talking about his jacket. Oh, man. So with the album, fantastic. I've really been enjoying listening to this album. I've been listening to it a lot, both from, in order and on shuffle. I'll throw it on shuffle sometimes and just listen to it. And I think the biggest thing about this album that makes me feel like this is really, really, really good, other than just enjoying it, is the fact that I keep changing my mind on what my favorite song is. Because the last will come on, and I'll go, oh, yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot. Because he almost has kind of like a reggae-style sound to his voice a little bit. But then it rolls into Mental, and I love that song. I love the female vocals on that. What's her name? Bridget Perez. Fucking fantastic vocals. Then it drops into Troubles with Kenny. I'm like, oh, Kenny. I always get excited when it does that. Then X-Wing comes on. I'm like, oh, right. No. X-Wing's my favorite because it's got the strings and the piano. And then Angels comes on. I'm like, oh, no. Angels, that's right. Angels is my favorite. And then, honestly, the only track I don't have a heart next to is The Smell of Death. It's only 80 seconds long. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I feel like The Smell of Death suffers from the fact that it's surrounded by tracks that are just great. So it's hard to, keep that pace. This is why I love an album format over a single, because I feel like anybody eventually can make a good song. But it's really hard to make a good album, either in the sense that it flows from track to track and tells a story, or just putting out 12, 14 good songs. That is hard to do. So The Smell of Death, even though it's fine, I think it just being in incredible company, it gets like, oh, well, sorry, you're an 8 out of 10, but because you're surrounded by 10s, you're just unattractive. That whole thing, right? That whole thing. And then you get to the Ills. Love the Ills. And I was thinking about it a lot today because I had some time to listen to it again and really just, what is it about this album that's really clicking with me? And I think it's a multitude of things. One being the lyrics are just fantastic. Like Denzel's really kind of putting it all out there. He's not really holding back on what he's obsessed with or upset with, what he's processing, what he's dealing with, the things that are, eating away at him, all these different elements, right? He's just being open, he's being honest, and I love it when artists do that. But then lyrically, he's doing it in such a way where these lines just keep packing a punch, line after line, man. And of course, now that I say that, I blank on all the ones, your so-called revolution is just a post, period. That other song about, I don't fuck with people that don't take care of their kids. The world is darker than a Brooklyn Dodger being integrated. There's just all these different lines that are fucking fantastic throughout the album. And it's from the first track to the last. So that's been great for me, for someone who loves lyrics. I also really like that I don't want to say necessarily, went a different route, but he brought in all these people. He's got all these different producers. He's got all these different features. And you can really hear it in the sound, like the music. I feel like he said, you know what? We're going to change it up. We're going to make it different and bring in lots of different musical elements. He's got piano. He's got strings. He's got these slower, chill beats. And they're just fucking phenomenal, man. And they just roll around in my head. And I love it. I love it. I've seen some people saying that this is basically Denzel Curry's To Pimp a Butterfly. Not that this is, competing with that album, but this is his version of that in the sense of what he's expressing, different tone in terms of what he's expressing compared to what Kendrick was expressing and what he was going through. I mean, Kendrick was really tearing himself apart and putting himself through a journey in that album. But I think there's a fair comparison to be made there in the sense of this is Denzel just processing all the shit that's been going on with him over the last couple of years. And it makes great music. It makes great music. Not that I, not that I want a guy to suffer so that we can all have good music. That was that one thing that Nick was saying in the conversations with the community of, yeah, because Frank Ocean's brother died. You're like, oh, sweet, we're going to get great music. Like, that's awful. That's awful, right? I don't want any artist out there to have to suffer. But I do love when an artist can take what they're dealing with and turn it around and make it something positive and turn it into a therapeutic, cathartic process of healing and getting through all this shit. Especially I like the fact that he's doing it. I'm learning more about hip hop. I'm getting more familiar with hip hop and stuff like that. And I know Kanye and Kid Cudi and some other artists, they brought in this thing of being more aware about mental health issues and stuff like that, and worrying less about coming off as a badass 24/7. But what's cool about Denzel in this one is he's still Denzel. Like, I don't know all of his music. I haven't heard his earlier stuff. But I feel like I'm still listening to him. He's expressing it in his way, in the style that I've gotten used to, that's his. And he's not being preachy about it. He's not beating me over the head with, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is how things should be, and blah, blah, blah. He's just sharing his journey. He's sharing the processing and the struggling and the frustration and, the fucking horror of watching a jogger get killed by white dudes just because he was black. I mean, he's sharing this. And he doesn't really leave it in the sense of this is how you're supposed to feel, or not even really necessarily lashing out either. He's just putting it out there. This is how I feel. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm trying to get through. And in that, you can watch him, you can hear him like cut through the noise. He's talking about how he doesn't really pay attention to thoughts anymore, and money and hoes, and some of him and his best friends don't even talk anymore. Like, you can see a person in this album cutting away the things that no longer meet that threshold of concern, more or less, because so much other shit has come in instead. And in a way, I feel connected to him in that sense because, 2020 and the pandemic and the fucking election and riots and protests and all this crazy shit that was going on, I kind of went through the same process where I was like stressing out and I was worried about a lot of different things. And in that process, there were things that I used to think about and worry about I didn't give a shit about anymore. Like, that's done. Like, my scale of what was important and what was not shifted tremendously during that time. And I think Denzel kind of had the same experience for different reasons, in different ways. I'm not saying that him and I had the same journey or anything like that, but it's cool for me. And I think this is why, on the long ass explanation, why I'm enjoying the album so much is because I can listen to these songs and some of the things that he's talking about and go, yeah, I remember feeling that way. Yeah, I remember feeling that way. I remember having that same thing of fucking this and that and the other. And so to me, that's why it really clicks with me. And then you throw on great lyrics, you throw on great music, and you've got the whole fucking package, in my opinion. Fantastic album. So with that, I've got some notes. I'm kind of skipping over a whole bunch of shit because whatever. But we'll just get to the end talking about, people like to toss around album of the year. And I see it in Discord, and sometimes I see it in comments, and I think to myself, what was it, that Black Country New Road? Everyone's all excited about that. Good album, don't get me wrong, but it was like fucking February, and people are like, oh, album of the year. We still got some time. It reminds me of, I like to watch Supercross, and those are the dirt bike races in the stadiums with the jumps and all that shit. And a couple years ago, they finally stopped doing it, but they used to have this thing called the pass of the race, right? Where it was the most impactful pass of the whole race. And they would basically do it when like the guy who everybody thought was going to win would pass the other dude to take first place. Even if it was lap 4 of 20 laps, they would cut away and go, oh, here we go. Here's the pass of the race. And then 7 laps later, the real pass of the race would happen. And the whole thing, it was very stupid. So I don't like to participate in the whole idea of tossing out album of the year, in April or anything like that. But I will say this. I will put my stamp of, I expect this to be nominated. Now, personally, I don't really care about the awards and all that shit. I don't care. I don't need another institution to tell me this is good. This is fucking good. I don't really care. And I don't need them to validate my opinion. And if they disagree with me, I don't fucking care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. But it's kind of part of the hip hop scene, so it seems. So just tossing that out there. I feel like this is worthy of nomination for Album of the Year because it's fucking fantastic. There's so much growth that has happened in this album. I have so much respect for Denzel and just taking these concepts and laying it out there. And just fucking doing it. And I think in the sense of him exploring himself and expressing these feelings, the whole range, I feel like he himself as a person has probably grown through this. You know, I love that last track on Frank Ocean's Blonde where he's talking about, it's, making this album is like going to therapy. Y'all should be paying me. You should be paying me for real. Like, that album helped him so much. I hope this album has also helped Denzel work through the shit he's working through. I guess that's it, really. I had some notes, but I kind of covered it all. I feel like it was a little quick, but it doesn't need to be long-winded, I suppose, either. I do want to say this, too. I watched the interview with Denzel and Anthony Fantano, and I started watching something else, too, and it occurred to me, I was going to try and reach out to him, like, hey, Denzel, if you want to fucking get on and just talk about whatever. And I thought, maybe he'll see this. I doubt he will. But Denzel, if you do see this, if you do have an interest in sitting down and having a casual chat, I have like this little weekly podcast thing. It's called Conversations with the Community. It's super chill. It's not an interview style at all. I mean, I would ask questions. You'd be free to ask questions. But basically, we just hang out and talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. So if you have any interest, if there's any interest at all, even if you see this a year from now or 5 years from now, whatever, hit me up on Twitter. You can find it. Anyway, I doubt you'll see this. But if you do, cool. And if you don't want to, cool. Keep crushing it. Killer album. Killer album. Really enjoying it. I'm looking at the track list. I'm like, God, I just want to put on X-Wing again. I love X-Wing. That is definitely my favorite. Unless Mental comes on, then that's my favorite. Or Angels comes on, then that's anyway, you've got a great album on your hands when it just keeps, oh God, yeah, this song. Oh God, yeah, this song. Friday is Watch the Throne. I'm going to do the deluxe version. I'm excited to listen to that. I'm ready for some more Jay-Z in my life, and I'm ready for more Kanye too. That's going to be fun. I don't know if YouTube's going to let me post it. When I did the Reasonable Doubt reaction, it got blocked. I edited it like 2 or 3 times. It didn't fucking matter. It kept getting blocked. Not even copyright claim, just straight up blocked. Anytime there was music, they were like, nope, you're done. So I'm assuming that's going to be the case since it's technically a Jay-Z album. At least I think that's how, I don't know. Anyway, maybe it won't be a problem. Maybe it will. Patreon's $2. If y'all want to kick in $2, support the channel, see the uncut reaction or see the reaction period. I appreciate it. I hope you do. And I guess that's it. We'll see you guys on Friday.